Today on CityCast Boise, the Boise Farmers Market just started back up, and if you're like me, you've been craving a nice, sunny Saturday morning shop. But what's in season right now? Jocelyn Robertson is here to share some of her favorite farmers market finds, including some garlic the size of your head. It's Thursday, April 13th. I'm Emma Arnold, and this is what Boise's talking about. Hi, Jocelyn. Welcome back.
Hi, Emma.
So the Boise Farmers Market just started back up, but it's been a really cold, yucky, wet spring. Is that going to affect what they're selling?
Well, I think that's kind of hard to tell at this point. We don't know what our spring is going to turn out to be, but the first farmers market of the year is always a little scant on produce just because it's so early in the year. That doesn't mean that there's nothing to buy at the farmers market, though. So there's still plenty to buy. And we'll just have to see how the rest of the spring proceeds to see if we're going to have a great crop season this year. Fruit and veg.
So for people who are just really craving that fresh local produce right now, what can you recommend? What's in season early?
We're still kind of in a lot of the things that we've been eating all winter. So hardy greens, spinach, baby kale, miner's lettuce, lots of alliums, green onions, spring onions, green garlic.
Scapes? I just found out about scapes.
Scapes, garlic scapes. Really good garlic at the market right now. And then all of the carrots that overwintered in the gardens, and they've dug them up and they're really good and sweet now. So carrots and parsnips, kind of the root vegetable stuff.
Well, let's talk about some of your favorite farmers market finds.
I love the golden slipper baguette from Acme. It is this gorgeous baguette that is bright yellow. And because it's got some turmeric in it, and then it has sesame seeds. So it's kind of like fooling your brain into seeing something that's springy and bright. It has a really wonderful flavor. I also, for the first time, got some tortillas from Tamales Nelly. Their corn tortillas were phenomenal. They were really excellent. I mentioned garlic. So Lee Family Farms has this, garlic the size of your head. And I roast that or confit that. It's super delicious. And I'm also thinking about meat right now because that is something that's really available at the market. So bison, beef, pork. It's great eggs right now, and lots of people have beautiful, beautiful eggs. And these aren't eggs that you're going to use necessarily in a cake. These are eggs that you want to taste.
Yeah, good for deviled eggs, and
exactly.
You don't want to waste those on a cake. What are some unique or unusual ingredients you've found at the market?
I love the mushrooms from Ferg's Fabulous Fungi. He grows his own mushrooms. So he's usually got oysters and trumpets, shiitakes, the lion's mane, which are super cool. So you can get fresh mushrooms, but I also am a huge fan of dried mushrooms, as you just keep them in your cupboard and then rehydrate them, and they act just the same as using a fresh mushroom. So they add a lot of, savoriness and umami to your dishes, and you can just keep them in your pantry.
So I know you go to the farmers market pretty much every weekend. Do you make it part of your meal planning for the week? Are you showing up and buying stuff and then planning, or are you planning and then seeing what you can find there?
Yes, you have to make it part of your meal plan because otherwise I'd end up with a fridge full of stuff that goes bad, which makes me feel bad. One of the hardest things to do at the farmer's market is to buy too much because it all looks so beautiful and it's all laid out and it all, it just catches the eye. So if I have a plan, I kind of do both. I know what some of the things that are going to be there that are seasonal. Obviously, I know I'm not getting a, garden tomato this time of year, but I'm thinking about the things that are going to be there and planning for it. And then I also, if there's something that looks really intriguing that I haven't seen before, I'll allow myself to buy one or two of those items. What I don't want to do is come home with a 4-pound cheddar cauliflower for which I have no plans. That did happen to me one time.
I was going to say, I'm so guilty of that, of being like, I don't know what this is. It's gorgeous. And then I bring it home and it absolutely goes bad. And then I feel like a monster. And I'm like, ah.
I like to find things that I know I can use in more than one dish, because then it's less likely to go bad. So like this week I got miner's lettuce, and that can be used in a fresh salad, but then you can also cook it. So I'm going to put it in some Italian wedding soup, and we tossed it in some pasta last night. So if there's an ingredient that can go the distance, that's even better.
So you're making soup. What else are you making with all this delicious stuff you're bringing home?
Oh, man. We got spring onions. So we grilled them and we put them in chicken tacos with those tortillas. Then we got some pork loin chops from Malheur, and we made a tomato, garlic, anchovy, rosemary braised pork chop. And then we had the roasted carrots and parsnips, and that was really yummy. And then we got a lot of spinach and baby kale. So I made one of my favorite Meatless Monday dishes, which is a Turkish dish called gazlame, but it's like a flatbread pocket. And you mix up all of this yummy stuff, cook it down, and then stuff these flatbreads and then griddle them. And we got some feta from one of the cheesemakers. So it was really lots of green, but really savory and yummy.
That all sounds incredible and delicious. And am I right that you're providing some of these recipes for our social media that people will be able to check out?
I am. Yes. I put together my recipe for the gazlame, the spinach feta flatbread pockets. And then I also made an easier version of it, which is just the flatbread. If you want to put together all those flavors, but not spend the entire evening cooking, which I personally like to do, but
yeah, but not everybody does.
Yeah.
Well, we will have links to all those wonderful recipes on our social media, and we appreciate you sharing them. I wanted to ask you, I know you come from an ag background from your childhood. Is it important to you to support local farmers and producers? Is that part of the reason you go to the farmers market?
Absolutely. First of all, we come from an incredibly rich agricultural area that produces really high quality fruit and vegetables and allows for sustainable, low impact meat and dairy production. So there's no reason not to get it here. I think the fresher the things are, the less they've been fiddled with, the better they taste. They aren't just varietals necessarily developed for transport and storage in a warehouse. I know how much care and effort goes into farming and local food production. Farmers don't get into it for the money. And I think, too, you're going to get something quality because there's somebody answering for it. If somebody produces less than a great product, they have to, and they're selling it to you,
They have to stand there behind the table next week. You're going to see them and say, hey, these scapes were gnarly. I hated them.
Yeah. And so there's an incentive to make something good. And farmers know about their products. And if you don't know what to do with miner's lettuce, they will tell you. So it's just being mindful of the benefits is awesome. And I just think it's a preferred experience.
That's a ton of benefits. Like there's so many benefits of shopping at the farmers market for you, for the shopper. But what about like the local community?
Well, these are people that live in our community. So that means we're also supporting the local economy. People that live here, buy here, pay taxes here. It's kind of a smaller circle of commerce. So I really like that because I feel like I'm supporting our local economy. The other thing that I love about seasonal produce is that it makes me be more creative, and rather than just like falling into a rut of finding a new ingredient or taking advantage of a bunch of something I have, it gives me ways to think outside of the box.
Let's talk trends. Have you noticed any like changes in the Boise food scene that are like really kind of reflected in the offerings at the market?
I would say good bread. and baked goods. You know, growing up here, my dad used to just bitterly complain about not being able to get a decent loaf of bread. And I'm not talking about like some fancy loaf of bread, although I think we now always call them an artisan loaf, when in fact it's like what people ate for generations. It's a rustic loaf of bread. It's locally grown and milled flour, sourdough. It's bread that has a real crust and a lot of flavor, not something that's just baked on a conveyor belt and, you know, with corn syrup. And Acme, Gaston's, Hollow Bread.
Gaston's is great. We get Gaston's delivered with our Reed's Dairy delivery, and the Gaston's the croissant bread, I cannot recommend enough. It is so delish.
Yes, agree. Cosign on croissants. And they also make a really yummy brioche bun. So if you're going to make, you know, a classic Boise burger, you're going to have to get that brioche bun from Gaston's.
So what about somebody who hasn't, I feel like if you've never been to the farmer's market, it can almost feel like a little overwhelming. So like, what's advice you would give someone who's new to the farmer's market experience, but they want to go and try it this spring?
I do a 2-tier approach. So you can go online and look at all the vendors, and then you can also then you can purchase items for pickup. And not every item that they sell at the farmer's market is part of the pickup. But I like to do a order and get things like my meat and my eggs and the bread, so I don't miss out on what I want. I go pick up my order, then I park and I browse for the other things that I want to get. You know, the leafy stuff, things I want to kind of handle before I buy the things that aren't available on the pickup list. So that way you're not overwhelmed by, you know, having to get everything on your list. The only thing you have to remember is to not accidentally double up.
All right. Well, let's end on this. What's your favorite non-food item down there?
I am a sucker for fresh flowers. And
yes.
It's still a little bit early. I feel like there was one flower vendor there this week, although it was raining, so I didn't stop and browse. But the peonies by, I think it's Herigfeld, maybe out of Ashton. Oh my God, beautiful, beautiful flowers. So I'll be looking for those as spring progresses, and I'll also be looking for plant starts. If there's anything that I missed in starting my own seeds, there's oftentimes great like Basque peppers or, you know, really interesting herbs. So I'll look for plant starts as well.
Oh, smart. Yeah. There's someone down there, I can't remember who it is, but they always have the most beautiful dahlias. Just gigantic, gorgeous dahlias. And I'm always like, I'm just going to get these here. I'm never going to be able to grow these this gigantic and beautiful. So lots of gorgeous flowers down there. Candles. There's some beautiful candle makers down there. Some textile people. So lots to see and do. Thank you so much for walking us through the farmer's market. I can't wait to get down there. I feel like it's just such a big part of Boise Spring. And let's go together this Saturday. That sounds great.
Absolutely.
And if you're looking to head to the farmer's market, our friends at From Boise have an excellent list of where to go in the Treasure Valley. Boise and Nampa's farmers markets are already open, but Capital City and Meridian don't open till April 15th, and you'll have to wait until May for the markets in Eagle and Caldwell. We'll link to the list in the show notes. That's all for today here on CityCast Boise. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend? Leave us a review and subscribe to our Hey Boise newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with your weekly news roundup. Bye.